You doing okay?
Yeah.
Did you sleep a little?
Did.
Yeah. You're already exhausted. Or at least mentally. Yeah. Okay. Oh. Detective McClellan just wanted to go over some of the points. I know she had more of an opportunity to ask questions than she did, so we wanted to just clear up some things with her.
Yeah, so let's...
219.
A couple of points I just want you to go back over with me, okay? So, when you decided to go upstairs today to find out what time you guys were going to pick up, or you or her were going to go pick up her son, when you first heard the water running, where were you? Do you remember?
First thing we always do is just a habit. We open the door. If I don't hear her talking.
Yeah, but not we, today though. Specifically today, what did you hear?
So I said hello. I didn't hear anything. I got to the landing, which is fairly close to the bathroom before I start coming up the other way. And I could hear water running at that point.
Okay, and when you got to the landing, there was a chair that was in the middle of the landing. Why was that chair in the middle of the landing?
We use the chair to open the window, and the blinds have the two sets of blinds have a string on them.
Right.
And when the blinds are all the way down, the string is too high for Shanti to grab it, and I don't think I can grab it without being on something, so we've just left it there.
So is it literally in the middle of the landing? Like, do you walk around it? Like, it's not against the wall, it's not out of the way, was literally when the officers got there, in the middle of the landing.
Normally I would put it up against the window, so we would have the back of it against the window.
Okay.
Did you notice it?
I did, but it's been like that since. I don't know if Sam moved it on Thursday or if somebody else moved it on Friday or Saturday, but it's been like that for a couple days.
So literally just every time you go down the stairs, like you have to make a point to walk around the chair to get down the stairs. Nobody would move it to the side? That just doesn't seem like that would...
So normally if the stairs are, I understand, I totally understand what you're saying. If you're coming down, normally we cut between it like that. I don't know why it was moved over further. Normally we carry the tray up. We carry dinner up on a tray. I carried it up last night, and I did have to lift it up above it to get past it. I just hadn't moved it back yet.
So when was the window open where somebody would have had to move so the chair's in the middle so that you can reach the cord, or you move it off to the side to reach the cord?
It's normally in the back or on the side.
Okay. And that's where it was when later on, but when the officers first got there, it was like literally, they said, in the middle of the landing, like they had to move it to get up the stairs.
I don't think I've never had to walk like on that side of it to get around it. I've always walked in front of it and then past it. I've never had the chair in a position where it has to go that far.
Okay. So you don't recall it being in that position today?
We'd have to say the middle. I'd have to see a picture to what you mean. It normally, like I say, it's either closer to the wall under the window, or it's closer to the wall where the vent, the return vent for the air conditioner is.
Okay.
I do remember putting my shoes that were wet last night on in front of that vent, and then also on, I think on top of those little apothecary shelves. I think I had my shoes sitting because they got wet when I went out. I'm sorry, I'm exhausted. But I, like I say, normally it's over. It's close to the first wall or close to the second wall. I personally never put it in the middle.
Okay. And how'd your shoes get wet last night?
How did what?
Your shoes get wet last night. You said they got wet last night, and that's why you had to put them up against the...
I did. I went out, not during the first downpour, not during the second downpour, but somewhere in between there. I just went out to see if everything was closed up. All the windows were closed up in the house. It started raining again, and it was wet everywhere outside. I took the garbage out probably 9:30, 10 o'clock. It was pretty late, and it was in between one of the downpours.
Okay, so to check the windows...
I had walked outside. That was it.
To check the windows to see if they're closed, can't you go in the house to see if they're closed? I mean, do you have to go outside?
The house is dark on the inside, so it is difficult. It's easier to see on
It's
the
dark
outside.
outside too at 9:30 at night in a rainstorm.
Right, but we have a lot of stuff outside. We have a washer and dryer that are outside. I'm sorry, and I'm not being...
Oh, no, and I'm just trying to understand,
we have a
to me,
lot.
if it's pouring rain, I'm not gonna go outside to
It
look at the
wasn't-
windows.
But it wasn't. It had, like I said, it was in between those downpours, so
Oh.
the ground was extremely wet. It did start to rain while I was out again, but I did do a perimeter around the house to make sure that nothing, whether it's the lawnmower or it's a car window or it's a house window or
Okay.
whatever else, that's just what I do. There's a cover. We have a plastic cover that goes over the washer and a plastic cover that goes over the dryer when it's raining.
Okay, and what kind of shoes were those?
Blue Asics with silver stripe down the side.
Okay, and those are against the air vent?
No, those are up on the apothecary.
What are the shoes you said that you
Those
leaned
are
against
those are RBXs. Those are a darker pair
Which are
of
the shoes that
RBXs.
were wet that you wore outside?
The Sauconys, or the Asics were the ones that were wet. But I'd also worn the other ones out, and they were sitting on the lanai when it started to rain. So they also got wet, but I didn't wear them last night.
So the black sneakers that are leaning up against the air vent return on the landing next to where the chair was,
Yeah.
why were those shoes there?
They were sitting on the lanai while it was raining on the edge of it. I had
Okay.
taken them off while I was outside earlier in the day. They were undercover, but it rained and it was windy and they were damp. And so I just set them up there to dry because it doesn't dry out down in the garage.
Okay. So as you were coming up the landing right there, you could hear the water on, and you called out to her.
I had already called out like I always do. I didn't hear anything. I heard the water on, and usually if she's in the bathroom and the water's on, she can't hear me.
Okay.
You can't hear somebody when you're up there and the water's on and they're coming normally, depending on how loud.
So that didn't seem unusual to you.
No. Like I said earlier, it did seem unusual for that time of the day, because normally that's not when I see her in the shower.
Okay. So you get upstairs, you come around the stairwell, up the stairs, and then into the living space. And what do you see?
I don't see anything unusual until I get...
Was her computer on? It looked like she had just been working. Was the computer screens on?
The iMac wasn't on. The screensaver might have been on the other one, but it wasn't open to anything.
But do you remember seeing a screensaver on, or do you not know at all, or do you remember seeing them be black and thinking, gee, she wasn't working?
The iMac was definitely black.
Okay.
And oftentimes she does use both, so that made me think she wasn't working. But if she's not at her desk, and one of the computers isn't on, so not just asleep, but with a spreadsheet or an email or something that tells me she's not working. TV wasn't on. It was unusual.
Okay. So you go into the bathroom because you hear the water running, and describe for me, because I was trying to write and listen at the same time, and I just want to make sure I understand it right. And I know you've said it a couple times, and I'm sorry to make you say it again. I know it's difficult for you, but I just want to make sure that I have a clear picture of this. You walk into the bathroom, and what's the first part of her that you can see?
Back of her legs.
Her back and the back of her legs? Or the back of her legs?
She's facing the other way, so I'm seeing the back of her legs, her behind, her back, and the back of her head.
And how much of that is all of it in the tub? Is she, describe for me if you could, is it from her waist up that's in the tub? Is it, because what I thought I heard.
Just a little bit of her, so if she's laying on her side like that, her right leg is on this side, and that's kind of going that way, and her left leg is this direction, but up and maybe hanging a little bit over the edge of the tub.
So her right leg's then got to be completely in the tub.
Just not underwater, it didn't look like to me. Because she's laying on her side. So this, let me just make sure that I'm saying it correctly. So her lower side is her left. That's down. But at the knee, it's bent, and it's coming up at an angle in this direction. Her right is the top leg. It's a little bit further out of the water, but it's going back towards the corner of the tub.
You have it's a standard size tub, right? Which is normally like what, a six foot tub, or I don't even think they're that big.
That's a 6. It might be a 50. And I'm only aware of that because we've been shopping around.
Yeah, like it does.
But 60, I don't think.
It's not a big tub.
I don't think it's
and
a.
She's how tall?
It's not 72.
She's 5'7".
Correct.
67 inches.
So.
If you don't fit in, so that's it would be impossible to fit completely flat, completely straight.
Right.
Anything over 5 foot, because I don't think it's more. I'm guessing, but I would say plus or minus. It's
so,
around 60.
So you reached to get her, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And when you reached to get her, you said the water was full,
Yeah.
right? Almost overflowing, but not.
Closer to the top of the what's called the overflow drain.
Right.
But not the top edge or the top lip of the tub. And it was actually it looked like it was a little bit below that. And I don't know if it was after I moved her and took some of her displacement of that out, or splashed the water on the floor. But yeah, that was about right.
So when you first reached to help her,
Yeah.
what part of her are you touching?
Her right shoulder, which is the one that's standing furthest up out of the water. Her left side is down, her back is towards me.
Okay.
I'm trying to see what's going on.
And are you doing this with both hands? So like if...
Not at first, but I couldn't, but without using both hands I would.
So this is the edge of if this is the tub, and this is the edge of the tub, and this is the back wall, and this is a person.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like this?
And obviously it's all out of proportion, but
Right.
more like, like more like her torso all in.
But this is her, say this is her whole body.
Mhm.
This is her whole body.
Mhm.
And she's,
And this is it, her head is in the kind of this corner.
okay,
Toward the wall.
toward the wall.
Yeah, the closed corner, right, between the two tiled walls.
Got it. And the faucet's here.
Yeah,
And the water's on.
yeah.
And so you, now, if I'm you, going this way, yes?
Yes.
So if the water is at that level of the overflow drain, you're reaching into the water, or describe that for me?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I grabbed the top first to kind of pull her towards me.
Sure.
But I couldn't lift her. I mean, with this is all happening so quickly.
I understand.
Split seconds. So certainly that's the first. That's the last coherent thing that I had to really think about it. After that, I just see her, and I'm just trying to pull her out of that.
Okay, when you say trying, you're trying, but
I couldn't lift
you
her.
couldn't.
I couldn't. I tried.
So how did you get her out? If you couldn't lift her,
I had to pull her, and I believe that one hand was underneath, probably her right, her armpit, basically. So
Okay.
I'm pushing it, one hand over there, and the other hand is going from the other side, and I don't know if it was under her neck or if it was all the way under her arm. Once I got her a little bit closer to me, because she's over on the other side.
okay.
So once I got her a little bit closer, then I tried to get underneath both and lift her up and out to get her out of the water.
You tried to, but you couldn't lift her. So did you just pull her out of the tub?
Yes,
Okay.
I had to. It was the only
So, and as you
way
did that,
could
I
do it.
imagine that water and everything
Yeah.
comes splashing out of the tub.
I did.
Yeah, right? I mean, if it's that high. Okay, so now she's on the floor in the bathroom
Mhm.
and facing away from you with her feet towards the door. Or did you completely flip her over?
So I didn't let go of her at
Okay.
that point. I pulled her towards me, and so part of her body came up out of the tub, and her legs are still in it.
Okay,
And then as I turn, I'm taking her head this direction, and her feet come out. But when I got out to the edge of, or just into the other room, there's a border of carpet, changes color. I set her head down because I was losing my grip, and I couldn't keep carrying her that way. So I sort of stepped out of the bathroom around her, and I reached down, and I got underneath, and I pulled again. And this time, so her...
you got down how?
I got underneath her, and her head is down, and I started pulling her between the banister and the couch to get her to the open.
Okay, and she's face up at this point, or she's face down?
At that point, she's face down because she must have been on, when I pulled her out, she wasn't laying flat. And when I went to grab her again, I don't know if it's because of where her arms were or where I was, but I grabbed her from the other direction and pulled her, and her face was down. And I got all the way like that to the middle of what I would call the living space where I said we stopped, where we drew the picture.
Right, okay, all right.
I can't tell you exactly why it was easier to sort of get a hold, but I also remember it just being extreme. She was flat, and
Would you agree that it seems like it would be easier to if you have to drag somebody, to drag them face up, because you can put your arms underneath them and you can pull to drag them, as opposed to somebody face down, because their arms are going to want to go forward, trying to.
I think it's because she wasn't flat. She was at an angle, and it was hard to do it. It was hard to hold her up that way.
Does it seem like that would don't you think though that it would be the opposite of that? Would you agree? Like, you think if you're going to drag somebody, it'd be easier to drag them when they're on their back?
If you had a perfect choice, maybe, but I don't know.
Well, I'm not saying that you did.
I don't know that I had that choice.
I'm not saying that you did.
Otherwise, it wouldn't seem unreasonable. And that is how I moved her.
Okay. So when you got over to the couch area, and then you stopped and you took the mattress pad.
Not right away. First, I just tried to adjust her neck. I just tried to open. My assumption was I was just making an assumption she was full of water, that if any positive thing could happen, or if there was any way to revive her at all. I wasn't thinking. I realized it was unlikely, and at the same time I was trying to do something. And so, like I said before, I definitely tried to adjust her neck.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely grabbed her, and I think one of the other reasons why I probably came out of the bathroom like that is I ended up grabbing her by the hips to pull her the rest of the way, because it wasn't easy to get under her arms. But when I had her, when she was laying on the floor in the living room, I remember turning her on her side, and I remember lifting her at, kind of like when someone someone loses their breath. Have you ever had your breath knocked out of you?
Yeah.
The way you lift them kind of under their waist to try to put their head back. Like
Did you say before when we talked about moving her by her hips? Yeah, I don't remember that either, all that detail. So, when then you get her over there and you think that she's full of water, what prompted you to put her on top of the mattress pad?
It was cold, and I was trying to wipe her off and dry her off. I was also trying to get something that I could put under her body to tilt her neck back, or her to get some kind of angle.
Well, think about what you've told us for a minute. You're an intelligent guy, right? I mean, you've obviously had a really good career at 3M, right? And you do real estate and sales and now home renovations. You're a bright guy. If somebody was telling this to you, wouldn't you, as an intelligent person, think that something's not right? Something's not adding up here. Because from what you are saying and what we've seen, it's two different things. So we just need to fill in the blanks. And I just need you to help us fill in the blanks. Okay? I know you loved and cared for Shanti, correct?
Very much.
You said, actually, I think that one of the first things I think you said was I've never been more in love. We had such a good weekend. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And let me ask you about that. You've never been more in love. Like, what made you feel that way? What was so great about this weekend that...
We hadn't, since the construction started in January, had, and then the appendicitis in mid-February, a time when either she wasn't extremely stressed and busy with work and uncomfortable with the surgery, and for despite the delays and everything else, also having the project, which was the most important thing after her company, on track. All of those things, starting with the text on Sunday and the design of the stairway that...
Yeah, but to say I've never been more in love...
It just seemed like almost all the obstacles had been removed, and everything was alone. It just seemed like we were both agreed on the project. We were both happy with where things were going.
Okay.
We had a great time. We had Jackson. We had some personal time for the first time. And I did have to think about what you said earlier. I certainly had my hands. I always. It's our normal. I'm not joking her in any way, but I do always have my hands on her shoulder, here and here.
From behind or in the front?
Behind. I'm behind her, and I would have my hands.
On her shoulders?
Yeah.
In what circumstance?
Intercourse.
Intercourse?
You had asked if there was some thing during a position where I'd have my hands on her body and.
On her throat specifically.
Okay, and I'm saying not throat, but you also just said any reason why you would have your hands, and I'm sorry if but I certainly did have my hands here.
And you're saying from
here.
behind?
And on top, yeah.
So your Saturday and Sunday you would have been touching the tops of her shoulders during intercourse?
Correct.
Okay. Would your hands have any indication, and what I meant when I asked you that, David, is sometimes couples will play that game where it heightens an orgasm if you preclude someone from breathing for just a moment right before orgasm. It's like the choking game that they call it, where it heightens an orgasm if you choke one another. Do you ever do that?
We've never done it. And
Okay.
We did see it on an episode of Californication or something like that. And
You saw an episode on Californication?
That I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it's called, but it's never been part of our repertoire or anything that we've ever needed to experiment with. No.
Okay, so that was not something that occurred.
Correct.
Okay, all right, you can go ahead.
So I just want to point out some things to you that I think are unusual. There's so many, I really don't know where to begin, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that I find that the living arrangement, I find to be completely unusual for you to be primarily living downstairs.
I'm not primarily living downstairs.
Well, sleeping.
What I said is that I sleep down there, but I don't go down there until we're done with dinner, if we're done watching TV, or doing what we've done for the evening.
Okay, but
I do sleep down there probably.
okay, just hear me out.
Okay.
So you don't go upstairs during the day while she's working. You leave her alone, and then
not entirely. I do go up there.
Okay.
But I don't work up there while she's on the phone because it's distracting. It's her office.
okay, and I understand that. But so we're not with her during the day upstairs. You go up there, have dinner, and watch TV, and then you go back down to the garage. Where
only after we've said goodnight and everybody else.
Okay, but you're a married couple. I mean, and her son isn't there every night.
And when he's not there, once in a while, but not every night, with her surgery, she was sleeping in a very kind of,
I
unique
understand that.
position,
I know
and
you explained all those. So, but I want to explain to you
it's not
what.
a permanent thing, is what I'm saying. When we lived at Briarcliff, and when we lived with
So
her parents,
that's
she and I shared a
unusual.
bed.
I think the chain of events today I find to be unusual as far as primarily with what you've said and the contradictions in what you've said, as far as the water was trickling, to then explaining that the water it can't trickle. It's either all the way on or it's all the way off. There's no adjustment in the speed of the water coming out of the faucet. That was a direct contradiction that you made in your statement. The different versions of how she was in the tub. There's been 3 or 4 different accounts of how she was found, to how she was moved from the tub through the bathroom into the living room or the primary living area. There's been several different versions of that from what I take from listening to you earlier.
I've added more detail, but I don't think that anything, and I'm not trying to, I'm obviously not in a position to argue, but I thought every time we described what I saw, it was the same.
And then the primary thing is the fact that the injuries that this woman, sustained, that I saw on her, absolutely 100%, in my opinion, not possible from a slip and a fall in a bathtub.
You got to explain that, David.
You've said a lot. Can I have a chance to?
Yeah, absolutely. This is not a one-way conversation.
Okay. Neither. So. Let's just start.
Start with the injuries, because that's our biggest concern. Is how do you explain this woman's head being swollen, her eyes being black and swollen, lacerations on her face where the blood has dried this way, yet she's in a tub supposedly full with water, clumps of hair missing from the back of her head.
Missing?
Look at.
I don't have any explanation. This is what I found.
Look. You clearly have no history. Looked you up in every system that I could find. I don't think by any means that whatever happened today was intentional, was planned, what was part of your character, of who you are, by any means. But I know, and you know, that something happened there today that caused this, because it didn't happen from a slip and fall in the bathtub. It didn't happen that way, and you know that. And here's the thing. We have to have some kind of understanding from you. You're the only one that can help us understand what happened. Only you, because it was just you and her that was there today. You have to help us.
And that's why I've tried to answer every question.
But here's the thing, is every time you say tried, it means you failed. And you failed right now at helping us understand that.
I've told you everything.
You're
that I
missing
know.
parts, though. You're missing parts. Come on.
I would tell you, I have never, ever,
What?
and would never, ever hurt her.
I don't think you hurt her on purpose. David, I don't.
I would never hurt her on accident. That's not, I
It
don't
was,
have a
it's
bi- I
one
don't-
of two things today. It
Okay.
was on purpose or it was an accident. You pick. But one of the two things happened. She didn't do this to herself, and there was nobody else there. What are we supposed to think? What you're saying doesn't make sense.
I'm saying I don't know what happened to her.
So when you pulled her out of the tub, you agreed with me that the water came out of the tub. There's not a spot of water on the floor, David. The carpet isn't wet. The carpet isn't wet from where she was pulled out of the bathtub, sopping wet, all the way around to the front of the couch. The carpet's not wet. There's no blood on the carpet. Average person would think if you pull somebody who has been in a tub with long brown hair, who's bleeding in a, what did you call it, rose-colored water in the tub, and you pull her out, water's going to come splashing out on the floor. It's going to splash onto the toilet, onto the vanity, onto everything in there. The little brown rug that was pushed off to the side is going to be wet. It's not, because that's not what happened. The evidence does not match what you're saying. And I understand that whatever happened today, like I said, was not planned, was not on purpose. Whatever happened, I'm certain was an accident. And that's why none of these details are matching up with what actually was there. So please help us to understand, because if you maintain what you're saying right now, do you understand that it just looks like you just don't care? You just have no remorse, no concern for what happened to your wife. If it was, and it's one of, like I said, it's one of two things. She didn't slip and fall. That's out of the picture. It's not a possibility.
What happened?
I don't know. You need to tell us what happened. Did you guys get into an argument? Was she pissed about the house?
No.
Was she? Did she catch you with another woman? Did
Absolutely
she have a boyfriend? Did
No.
the stress of the house? I mean, David, I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't there to hear that conversation. Okay? I wasn't there. And that's why I need your help. You've got to help us understand what happened. Because it's not slip and fall. You didn't pull her out of the bathtub like you said you did. Because there's no water on the floor. There's no splashing of water anywhere in the bathroom. The inside of the tub is dry. Completely dry. The tub doesn't dry that fast. It was warm in that apartment. It's not going to dry that fast. There's no water on the floor. There's no water on the carpet. Nothing. The only place where there's anything wet is underneath that mattress, the mattress pad, and she's damp. She's not even wet. Her clothes weren't even wet. So you didn't pull her out of the tub at 2:50 or 3 o'clock or whatever time. That didn't happen. It didn't happen. You know that. We know that. But what we don't know is the rest of what you know. And you have to help us understand that. What happened to her today? And I understand whatever happened clearly happened earlier today. And I get it. I mean, I'm sure it freaked you out. I'm sure it was very stressful, whatever it was, and you got to figure it out and wrap your head around it. And how am I going to handle this? What am I going to do? Oh my God, it's an accident. But maintaining this, I mean, and then that's not everything, but that's just some of the stuff I can lay out for you that's just not matching up. Okay? Do you remember, it's a pretty big case in Orange County. Do you remember Casey Anthony? Okay? Regardless on what you think about whether she had anything to do with that little baby's dying or not, okay? Yeah. What we do know is that everything that she said was proven to be a lie. From going to work at Universal, from all of the different things, so where she was, the nanny, the blah, 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 all the stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Long time, unfortunately, too long later on, they find that poor little baby in the woods, right? The mother clearly, the day she makes the phone call, says, I smell a rotting body, or whatever she said in the trunk of the car. If Casey Anthony had come forward immediately, or even when the mother first picked up on what was wrong with the car and said, I screwed up. I wanted to go party, I left the kid in the car, the heat killed the kid, okay? We can forgive people for accidents, for nearly anything. But what we can't forgive is when somebody maintains that lie and that coldness. We can't forgive them for that. And if Casey had come forward and said, you know what, it was an accident, she probably never would have been tried, or I don't know, whatever would have happened with it. It was Orange County's case, thank goodness. But we would have looked at her and viewed her a lot differently than we can ever do now. Mm-hmm. I want you to remember that, because this is going to be, it is already, the evidence is not aligning with what you're telling us. And I don't want you to think that I think any differently of you, or she does, or anybody else would think any differently of you if you come forward and you talk to us now about what really happened there today. Because she deserves to have the truth be told. And if it was an accident, if you guys were having sex, if it was rough sex, and if, you know, she passed out and then you freaked out, oh my God, let me try and revive her by putting her in the tub, you know, whatever. I mean, people do things. I mean, I don't know you at that level to know what's going through your head on whatever you want to try and help her. But what we do know is what was said is not what happened, because it's just not possible. So you've got to help us. Can you do that?
I've told you everything.
David, don't go down that path. It's not going to work out. She did not get pulled out of that bathtub at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
And you're missing an entire hour in your timeline. You're missing an entire hour in your timeline. From when you say you found her to when you called 911.
I went upstairs 5 or 6 minutes before I called 911. I don't know what time it was when I called them.
I know, but
I know
we
you
do.
I know you. I know you do. I know you
But you're
do.
missing.
But I have,
You're missing almost an entire hour from the time you say you found her until the time you called us.
I don't think that's possible. I don't think there's a way that I could be.
I looked it up. I mean, I know what you told us. We both had it in our notes. We both looked at what time you told us, and we looked it up. What time we got the call. You're missing almost an entire hour.
I tried to tell you everything that I did from the time that I came home until the time that I went up there. I didn't look at my watch before I went out.
At the time you called the police, one of you should have already been on the way to get her son. So you're missing a significant amount of time.
What time was it?
I'll discuss that with you at a later time, but it is almost an entire hour
Okay,
that
we
you're
frequently don't
completely.
to get him until 4:30.
Mm-hmm. That's what you said.
Pardon me?
That's what you said. Right. That's how I know what time you go to get him.
Correct.
You're missing a significant amount of time. David, you're going to get one shot at telling the truth. And you're really, really making this difficult on us. And it's not going to bode well for you. You're going to get one shot to tell the truth. And it's right now. Okay? It's right now. You've got to tell us what happened between the two of you. Because this is not looking good for you. Her injuries are way too severe.
I don't have any explanation for her, the severity of her injuries. I don't have any explanation, and that is also the part of this that frightens me the most. I don't have an explanation for that. There's nothing I can do to explain that without making something up, which is not the right thing to do.
For you to see the significance of her injuries up close and personal like you did and come up with this cockamamie theory that she fell and hit her head is just baffling to me that you thought we would believe that. It's just baffling.
I don't know what happened.
That you had a significant amount of time to come up with something, but to think that we would buy that she slipped and fell in the tub and hit her head. And you saw how significant those injuries were. You saw it up close and personal. You saw the swelling on her face. You described how the severity of her eye, the cuts to her face. To think that we would think that she slipped and hit her head and had a significant eye injury like she does. Both eyes.
Both eyes?
Both eyes. Do you know how those injuries occur to the eyes like that?
No.
You strangled her. And that's what the medical examiner is going to tell us. Because I've already spoken to the investigator. Crime scene folks, investigators were already there. I just got off the phone with the medical examiner investigator.
David, detective, something you should know. There's nobody better at domestic violence than this detective right here. She knows what she's talking about. She's seen enough of it in her 20 years that you need to say what happened today. What did she do that made you so mad? Nothing. You just strangled her for no reason?
You're not a cold-blooded killer, David. That didn't happen. You're not a cold-blooded killer. You're not a cold-blooded killer.
She didn't do anything.
You guys are practically newlyweds. Okay? Something pissed you off. Something she said, something she did. Maybe you guys were breaking up, but you haven't been married long enough to sleep in separate beds.
No.
Something's going on between the two of you.
We're not sleeping in separate beds.
You're sleeping in separate parts of the house. You're sleeping in different buildings.
Yeah. You're not even on the, I mean, there's a giant couch.
I'm sleeping downstairs, and I have slept there.
But that's
have
not what
done
you've
that.
said. But you've said that you sleep downstairs. You go down there when the TV is off. You let her spend more time with her son.
She goes to, they're asleep. What I said is when they go to sleep and the lights go off, I spend the entire evening. I make dinner with them.
I understand that. You're sleeping in different parts of the house.
Once we go to sleep, we don't.
The bed's
nothing is
big enough
happening.
for the both of you.
Pardon me?
The bed's big enough for the both of you.
That has never been, that is not, the size of the bed has never been the issue. The issue is that she wakes up frequently. Sleep apnea causes her to wake up over.
Why don't you put another bed in that
and
room
over.
then?
We already have two, and we have a large couch, so there's plenty of space there, but I do sleep better without listening to her snore. It's pretty much that simple. And she sleeps better without me moving around, so unless it's a weekend or a night when Jackson's not there, we don't even think about it. This has been working for us really well.
So when was the last time you slept in bed with her?
The weekend previous, when Jackson was with his dad on Saturday night.
And what was different about that night?
We enjoyed sleeping together. We did it too. We did it for all the reasons that anyone else does it. To enjoy being close to each other.
But when was the time before that?
Probably before the surgery, but for a long time during the surgery I was sleeping on the couch upstairs.
So
when
prior
Jackson
to her
wasn't there.
surgery, so I know the whole surgery thing took a big chunk of time there, but before the surgery, how often?
Every other weekend when Jackson wasn't there.
That's got to put a strain on a relationship. You are a newlywed couple, and you're only sleeping in the same bed together every other weekend.
That didn't mean that we could have sex more often than that just because we weren't sleeping.
No, I know, because I mean, you don't work outside of the home right now doing the construction, and she's there. So I mean, and it's not about the sex; it's just about the relationship of being.
We couldn't have, we wouldn't agree more, and we said it over and over, and that's why when we got the chance, we did do it. And for a while with the appendectomy, she was going back and forth from the bed to the couch. Before that, when we got this couch up there in January, I did sleep up there a couple of times, but we weren't pushing it. We had the house coming online. We had a master bedroom that we were designing, and that was part of what was sustaining us.
But even when you moved into the new portion of the home, you weren't intending to share a bed?
Of course we were.
Well,
You were? What would it?
That's what I'm saying, is when we moved.
Why would it be any different once you moved into the house? She's still going to snore.
We'd have a separate bedroom, and she had said she would either try the CPAP or she's tried a number of different retainers that open to keep your.
But David, why would she do it then when the house is done and not now?
Because it interrupted her sleep, like I said before. It's not an inconsistency.
I know, but if you're going to do it in the future when the bedroom's done, it's going to interrupt your sleep then. That doesn't. Didn't that upset you? Wouldn't, I mean, if my husband wouldn't do it now for me, but he says, "Oh, I'm going to do it in the future."
I didn't think about it that much.
Come on. Really?
Because
That seems very unusual to me. You are a newlywed couple, and it doesn't bother you that your wife is not willing to do what she needs to do so you can sleep in the same bed.
We're in the
You
same.
didn't allow her to sleep. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't seem like we're picking. It just doesn't seem like the things that you are saying are inconsistent. I think that I've explained extremely well. She didn't
No.
sleep. She did, but you said we could, if she would do it, that we could both sleep well in the bed. And what I had said earlier, and what she told me, is that she couldn't sleep with it. That she didn't sleep well.
No, I know,
That her sleep
but
was that important, and I agreed.
she's going to do it in the future, which means she's not going to sleep in the future. So either way, she's not going to sleep.
I think it's an adjustment and a transition that she didn't feel like she could make right now because she couldn't afford the time that it would take.
And that didn't bother you.
Not that she didn't do it right now, that we were going to do it in the future. That was fine.
But she's sleeping in the only part of the residence that's semi-comfortable. You're sleeping in the garage with the dogs. And are you sleeping on a bed or on a couch?
On the couch that's down there.
Okay. And she didn't tell you to sleep down there?
No.
So you had an option.
Yeah, she wanted me to sleep over there as much as I could and as much as we could afford, and both get a good night's sleep.
So
And
you
that's why we did start sleeping on the couch more. She was doing it after the surgery. I was doing it before the surgery. We didn't get that couch until January. The couch that we had before that wasn't as comfortable, but we did start doing it once we got the new couch.
You were sleeping upstairs or down?
I was sleeping upstairs more often, so one night during the week, and definitely on the Saturday night when we didn't have Jackson.
So the couch upstairs is new? Or the one downstairs?
New used. The upstairs one, yeah, we got in January.
Like it's used?
Yeah, but it's a nice couch. It's comfortable.
Do either one of you have life insurance?
We both do.
You both do? Who's it through?
We purchased them through Patrick McCarty. He represents.
You spell McCarty?
Yeah, MCARTY.
And he works for who?
AXA Investments.
Is he local?
He is local, and
Is his number in your phone?
yes.
When did you get
I got mine in November
Of what year?
last year.
2017?
Mhm.
And when did you all get married?
In February 2017.
2017. When you say I got mine, you mean on yourself?
Yeah,
How much?
$1 million.
$1 million? And when did Shanti get hers?
She's had hers for quite a while. I don't know when she got it.
Before the
She
marriage?
had it before I met her. She had it during her first marriage.
And what is her policy worth?
Same.
Which is? Which is? How much?
I think hers is $250.
I thought you said same. I missed it.
I thought you said who is it through, and I
Mm.
meant it's through the same person.
Through Patrick McCarty?
Correct.
Did she have you call him because she already had a policy with him?
He's her advisor, and so as long as we've been together, he's been trying to get more business from me.
So you have $1 million on yourself?
Correct.
And how much was her policy worth?
I think it was worth $250.
250,000. And she's had hers since she was married to her ex?
They got theirs together. She kept hers on Jim.
She what?
She has a policy on Jim.
On Jim?
So she owns that policy. So
How much is that worth?
I don't know.
Who's the beneficiary on her policy?
I am.
You are? Not her son?
Correct.
Since she had the policy while she was married to Jim, when did she change the beneficiary to you?
Sometime after we got married.
Do you know when?
I could trace it back, but we went down there together. We went down to his office together to change it.
After you were married?
I believe so.
So sometime between...
Because her name, I believe she had changed her name at that point. So I think it was sometime between when we got married in February, and I think some of her name change stuff came through maybe 6 weeks or 8 weeks after that. Driver's license and that kind of thing.
So when did you go down and meet with Patrick in order to change the beneficiary, the two of you?
I don't know exactly. I'm saying it was, if I had to guess, I would say it was around 2 months after. So it would be April.
Of last year?
So it was several months before you got a policy through him.
Correct.
6 or 7 months before you got the policy for $1 million. Who's the beneficiary on yours?
She is.
Any other policies, or just those two?
Just those.
Through any other companies? No. The glaring issues, obviously, Detective McClellan's pointed out to you, and I don't know if she has any more points to make with you, but it's pretty evident to me that Shanti's been murdered. Been doing this a really long time, David. This woman was strangled, possibly beaten. She's been murdered. And strangulation, as she indicated, in a domestic setting, strangulation with a woman is extremely personal. Women get strangled by people that they're married to or dating. It's very personal. It's very angry. Sometimes it happens because people black out, because they get so angry, they get blinded by their anger, and they black out and they just don't recall what happens. It's very common. And I've had several people tell me, yes, I put my hands around her throat and then I blacked out. I honestly don't know. When I woke up, she was on the floor. People get that angry. It is also very common when you come out of that blackout and you see someone on the floor that you try and revive them, that you drag them into the tub and try and wake them up. That I would totally understand. It's happened many, many times in my career. Okay. This woman was strangled and possibly beaten. She has significant injuries. Okay? Shanti's been murdered. This is not an accident. This is not a slip and fall. All her injuries tell us that. Okay? There is no one home but you. And this did not happen in the afternoon. Okay? She was barely damp. You did not pull her out of that tub at 3 o'clock. And honestly, I got to tell you, you've said many, many times that you couldn't lift her. She's 135 pounds. You're 6'2", almost 200. You could have picked her up out of the water, threw her over your back, rushed into the living room, laid her down, and started calling 911 and CPR. An hour went by before that occurred. Okay? There's no question in my mind you could have very easily, at 6'2", 190, grabbed her out of the tub, threw her over your shoulder, and ran into the other room. You're able-bodied, you're a man, and you're quite a big guy, especially for someone who's 5'7" .5", $135. I could have picked her up, even at dead weight. She's not 250 pounds. Okay? very easily. And the other significance to that is even if she was a little heavy, when people see a car roll on someone they love, they pick up the car. When you see a house burning and your loved one's inside, you don't think. You run into a burning house. Why? Adrenaline. So even if you couldn't lift her, even if she was 278, your adrenaline would have kicked in the moment you saw someone you love in distress, and you would have very easily whipped her out of that tub. Adrenaline does that for us. Would have been very easy for you, even if she was heavy, and she's not. Okay? Nothing that you've told us today happened. There's slivers of truth in every lie, and you've told us some significant slivers. There's sporadic truth in a lot of what you said tonight. Sporadic truth. We've pretty much figured out what parts are true. Most of it is complete fucking bullshit. Complete bullshit. And I don't think you're a bad guy. I don't think you're a cold-blooded killer. But I do think you killed your wife. And I don't think you meant to do it. And I don't have a problem telling the state attorney's office you didn't mean to do it. I don't have a problem telling the state attorney's office that you didn't plan this, that you didn't do it to get $250,000 so you could finish the house and live there with someone else. Okay? I mean, there's first-degree murder, David. There's second-degree murder. There's manslaughter. Okay? If you want me to go out and leave this room and prove that you stood to gain $250,000 so you could finish the house the way you wanted to, so you could move someone else in that you care about more, if you want me to go out and prove first-degree murder, that's an option. I don't think that's what happened. I don't think you premeditated this. I don't think you planned this. I think some shit went bad and you fucked up. That's what I think. And I don't have a problem telling the state attorney office that. Okay? I think you made a mistake. I think you screwed up bad and you made a mistake and you tried to figure it out and cover it up. And her wrapped in that thing that she was laying on, that mattress pad, there was no need for that. You had her on the floor, on the carpet, in front of the TV. Anything you needed to do to her could have happened right then and there. There was no reason to move her again. No reason to wrap her in anything unless you planned to dispose of her body. Unless for a brief, fleeting moment, you thought about wrapping her up and getting her out of there and taking her someplace else. And then you realize you just couldn't do it. You're not that guy. You're not a cold-blooded killer. It's not like you go around killing women. Okay? It's not like you're a serial killer. Maybe for a brief moment you thought about it. But there was no reason to move her. There's no significant change between where she is in front of the couch and where she is next to the bed. The surface is the same. It's just as hard. You're going to do CPR, you can do it in one place as easily as you can do it in the other. There's no reason to grab the mattress pad. There's no reason to put her on it. There's just no reason for it. And you've tried to explain it away and away and away, and it makes zero sense. You've made some significant errors in whatever plan that you decided to tell us that you've been making up all day. It's not jiving. We're not buying it for 1 minute. You got to tell us the truth, David. This is not looking good for you. And if you want me to go out and prove first-degree murder, I'll make you a cold-blooded killer. It's not a problem. I'll prove you withstood that you were going to finish the house with a 250 thing. Okay, that it'll make you look terrible, and you'll end up with nothing, and you'll face the first-degree murder charge. That's not what happened. I don't think you did that. I don't think you're that guy. I've sat toe-to-toe with a lot of murderers who killed their wives and couldn't have given a shit. That's not David. David cared about this woman, probably loved her. She's a beautiful lady. Beautiful lady. But we talked to her ex-husband. She's also a bitch. At least that's the way he described her. He told us how she can be. He told us how she can get.
What did he say?
He told us. He told us how she can be. He lived with her. He called her a bitch.
More than once.
smart, ingenious, financial whiz, but she can be nasty. We get it. These things happen. Okay? You wouldn't be the first noble, you'd be the last. But sticking to this line that you've given us today is going to make you look like a fool. The truth is going to be the only thing that minimizes what happens. It's got to match up, Dave. It has to. It has to be consistent with what we know. And that's how we're going to know the truth when we hear it, because it's going to match.
It will be okay. We can't help you until you help us. We wouldn't spend this much time with somebody that we thought was just a cold-blooded killer and that didn't give a shit. I understand how difficult it has to be for you to come forward after making such a mistake. I get it. But you know, in your heart, what happened. And you know what the right thing to do is. What happened today, David? I promise you, you'll feel better. You have all this pressure on you. And that's because you care. It's because it's not part of who you are. You didn't plan it. You didn't intend this. This was put upon you. And now you have to figure out a way to deal with it. What did she say? What did she do today that started the argument? Was it about the house? About her kid? she mad at? What was she bitching at you about? Money, finances, getting the house done, the dogs. I mean, who knows? Women get pissed off at everything.
Let it out, David.
I promise you, you'll feel better. And you deserve to feel better. Cheating on you?
Thank you. I know you care. I appreciate that.
We do, David, because we've been around so long. We just know we can tell how people truly are, and this is not your heart. I mean, this is not who you are, and I know you hate what happened. I know you hate it, and I know you wish you could take it back. And I know you hope that you wake up and this is a nightmare. And I know you, but until we hear the truth and some sort of remorse, I'm just not convinced that this wasn't planned. And I think I'm reading you pretty good. I don't think that's who you are. I don't think you've been planning this for weeks on end. Okay? So I don't think your intention was, financial. I hope that's not who you are. I hope that you're not some guy that just goes around and takes advantage of women for financial gain. Okay? I know there's some mean people on Match.com, but I hope that when we dig into your past, we're not going to find that you're going around taking advantage of women around the country. Okay? I don't think that's you. Okay? That's not like Scott Peterson, who killed Lacey Peterson, who's got 4 or 5 different girlfriends in 4 different states. Okay? I don't think that's who David is. I think David made a mistake. And I don't think David needs to pay as severely as someone like Scott Peterson. I think David needs to tell the truth. And David's going to feel better about that, and then we're going to deal with what that truth is. And we're going to be able to figure it out together, okay? We can figure it out together, but I got to know the truth, Dave. We'll figure out the next steps. Just get it off your chest.
to help you. I don't know how right now.
Sure you do. Because every time you close your eyes, you're thinking about telling us the truth. And every time you close your eyes, you're seeing this happen. You're never going to be able to close your eyes and not see this happen. The only way that goes away is if you're honest. It's going to haunt you. But all we have right now is what the evidence tells us, what Shanti tells us, and a whole lot of bullshit from you, and that's not going to work. Okay? Her body doesn't lie. People do. Unfortunately, fortunately for us, decedents do not lie. And you're going to keep reliving this over and over and over again, and it's never going to get off your conscience until you clear your conscience.
David, if it was a mistake and an accident, then just explain that for us.
You didn't know your own strength. You didn't mean to do it. You know we know. And you know we're going to prove it. I just don't want to make you out to be some cold-blooded killer, because I don't think you are. And that's the one thing that we can be in control of here, okay? We can be in control of the narrative. We can be in control of, is this first-degree murder, second-degree murder, manslaughter? What is this? Is this an accident? What is this? We can be in control of that, okay? Her injuries are her injuries. They are what they are, okay? I can write that as first-degree murder, second-degree murder, manslaughter, a mistake, an accident, you blacked out. I can write it however it is, okay? I don't like to make shit up. I like the truth. And that's all anybody wants in a situation like this, is the truth. And that's what her dad deserves. That's what her son deserves. That's what her grandmother deserves, her friends. They just want the truth. And you're close to her family. I'm sure you're close to her friends. I mean, what do we want these people thinking about you?
What do you want your mom to think about you? Your mother wouldn't want you to maintain this lie.
Because God forbid we paint you out to be some sort of monster. I mean, that's not fair.
And she's got to sit through that?
And she knows that's not her boy. I don't think that's fair to you. I don't think what happened to Shanti is fair either, but I don't think it's fair to you to make you some sort of cold-blooded killer monster who is out greedy for money. I don't think that's who you are. But those are your choices. You either made a mistake or you're a monster who didn't really care for this woman, who didn't love her, who married her because maybe she had potential to make really good money or has some money, or maybe for the life insurance. Who knows? I mean, that's what people are going to think unless we are able to say the truth. But it's one or the other, Dave. You either made a mistake or you're a cold-blooded killer. Which one are you?
Dave, was it a mistake? Was it an accident? What if we start from the top again? The top of today. You get up, you take the dogs out, right? Where did you sleep last night?
Downstairs.
Okay. And you got up, was it light out when you got up? Did you have to pull the trash to the curb?
I did that the night before.
Okay. And so you're kind of milling around downstairs. She comes down at what time? You think?
I think it was before 7:30. I think it was after 7:15 or so.
Okay. She normally come down first to have a cigarette? It's like that usually the first thing she does in the morning? Okay. So she came down to smoke. What did you guys talk about?
She didn't feel good. And she didn't feel like going to the dentist. And she was happy that she didn't have to jump on a call or do anything right away. And she just wanted to enjoy either a little more sleep or just doing nothing for a while. And she finished her cigarette. She just said she needed to do a couple things upstairs. She always does. And very normal and typical conversation.
Okay. So how many cigarettes did she smoke?
It was probably part of one
I'm sorry?
one or less. Is typical.
Okay.
So take us from that point and tell us the truth.
Are you religious?
Hmm?
Are you religious?
Yeah.
You want to pray?
Or have you been?
So she goes back upstairs. And what are you doing? Any tension at that time? Anything? Okay.
So just we'll stop asking. Just start from the beginning. We'll give you a clean slate. Give you a clean slate. Just tell us the truth from that point on.
We also discussed what I would do. We discussed that vendor list that I mentioned to you. I discussed that we were both tired and we both stayed up together late. I discussed how she was feeling, her stomach. And I did the same morning routine that I always do. I usually wait for her to come down. Just to get a feel for what her day is going to be like. Actually check with her to see if what, like I said before, what we can coordinate on in a busy week. That might be it. That might be all she had the time to talk about until she's done. As we don't have a landscaper or a grounds crew, I do everything with the yard. I do everything with the pool. But the main thing was just getting the dogs out, getting fed. We did talk about the courtyard. Just what we're going to fill out as far as the data report. Big pieces of whatever out. We had some junk back there we wanted to get rid of. And like I said, we also talked about me going on a walk, get some exercise. I have a sciatica condition. It's not all the time, but when I do overdo it, it does slow me down. So usually walking is good for that. Relaxing is good for that. And that was pretty much the gist of it until I left. The only thing that changed
when she came down, she just sounded more positive about going to the dentist. She had been on the fence. She'd been up for a while. She just seemed more positive. She told me to have a good walk. And that was it. It was less than I talked to.
Did you just say that was the last time you talked to her?
You didn't actually take the walk, though, did you? Yes or no?
Yes.
When you took the walk, was Shanti alive?
Yes.
Was she alive when you went to take the dogs to the park?
I don't know. From everything that I'm hearing about this.
Well, before we said anything, you told us you felt like she was deceased before you left.
I didn't say that I knew. I just felt like I thought she might have been.
You felt like she was deceased before you took the dogs to the park.
Mm-hmm.
What would make you feel that way?
Because she didn't go to the dentist.
So someone doesn't go to the dentist and you think they're dead?
No.
She told you she might not go. The normal thinking would be she changed her mind.
Or just that something changed or something happened.
Something did happen, and you knew something happened. That's why you felt it. And you didn't feel it because you're psychic. You felt it because you know. Because you knew. Before you left with the dogs, you knew she was deceased.
No, I said that tonight. But looking back on it now, with what we know.
You said that before we knew anything. You said that before we told you anything. It's one of the first things you said when we walked in.
That's not, you're twisting things. What? I didn't say that I knew in the morning.
No, you said
But I
you
said-
felt like it.
No, I feel like it now. After I knew she passed away. Not that I knew in the morning. I guess.
What would make you feel like she was deceased before you left? What would make you say that?
I didn't have that feeling before I left.
No, what would make you say that to us?
I didn't say that to you. I said that looking back on it. I didn't say that I felt like that.
I'm not saying you did. I'm saying what would make you feel as though she was deceased? Why did you feel that way? Looking for where I wrote it.
Because I thought the shower had something to do with it. And that's what I said before, that that's when she would be getting ready to go. I got the feeling that's what she was going to do.
Now I'm concerned she wasn't okay. when I left.
That's not what I said.
It's not what you said?
She wrote it down.
Oh, no.
I didn't say it. The context to me is not what I meant or what I said.
Read
I'm
it, read
concerned
it.
that
Now I'm concerned
Now. I'm sorry, I don't...
She wasn't okay.
when I left.
No.
I would have to agree with you. I don't think she was okay when you left. Because when we got there, she should have been soaking wet. Her clothing should have been soaking wet. Her hair should have been soaking wet. The floor should have been soaking wet. The bathtub should have been soaking wet.
David, you're a smart guy.
This isn't rocket
Don't
science.
look like you're puzzled. You're a smart guy. That you know now.
You panicked.
And you panicked. Exactly, I'm sorry. And
The floor was wet.
no, it wasn't. No, it was not.
The bathroom floor is not wet. The tub's not wet.
I know that you didn't plan this because none of this makes sense. If you had planned this and this had been intentional, this all would have made much more sense and it would have been a lot more difficult for somebody to figure out. But it's so obvious. And that's why I know that it wasn't intentional on your part. And you're not a good liar. You're terrible at it. Terrible. Because none of this makes sense. Because it's not in your nature to be like that. You weren't raised like that. I'm certain that your mother instilled good values in you and did not raise you to lie and to make stuff up. And that's why you're terrible at it. It's not a bad thing. And because you know you want to do the right thing. For you and for her. It almost sounds to me like she treated you like you were the help. That's what it sounds like to me. I got to do the yard. I got to take care of the pool. I got to do the work on the house. I got to clean the pool twice a day. I got to take care of the dogs. And I'm sleeping in the garage. So it sounds like what the ex said about her being a strong bitch.
Where she say goes.
Yeah.
You're so mild-mannered that you don't want to stir the pot. You stand up to her when it's necessary, but you pick your battles. But I think you just want it to be right and good. You don't like to fight. I don't know if she called you a name or if she belittled you in some way or made you feel less than a man. But my guess is she wasn't treating you very well. And there's only so much anyone can take before they snap. Or maybe you felt like she got what was coming to her.
She what?
Maybe you felt like she got what was coming to her.
What was it today? What was she upset about today?
Her tooth and going to the dentist. Or not going to the dentist. And how it was going to make her stomach feel.
Is she constantly complaining about her health or about one thing or the other? Is she kind of always sick, or is it kind of all about her all the time? Woe is me. Everything's about me. Take care of me. Come sit with me. Come smoke with me.
Stay in the bathroom with me.
Stay in the bathroom with me. We all know women like that. It's all about them and what you can do for them and what have you done for me lately.
And where, I found it interesting when you mentioned that so she could have more time with her son. A husband should come first, and then a child. Was that a suggestion of hers? Did she comment that she needed more time with her son? I mean, did she put you after him?
No, again, the comment was pretty clear. It was picking him up early so he could be at our home.
That's not the comment she's referring to.
No.
It was the one that you said you were sleeping downstairs, so when Jackson was there, she could have more one-on-one time with him.
More personal time with him. I mean, was there ever a conflict because of her son?
Yeah, I don't remember saying that it was in any way in relationship vis-a-vis me, her having.
It was one of the things you mentioned, and one of the reasons you
I
were
did
sleeping
mention
downstairs.
it, but what I'm saying is I do not believe that it was in any way having less time with me. It just seemed like these are all things that are made to stretch and prod into something that's not there.
Just asking. You made the comment that you sleep downstairs in the garage, so that one of the reasons is so that she can have more personal time with her son. If you're going down there
We're all
when
asleep. Okay, so I made it very clear. It's when we're all going to bed.
Right, but you also made the comment very clear that so she could have more personal time with her son.
I said on the half nights that he is there, because